Will Mike Tomlin be fired in the next few hours? Steelers fans, get ready, because what has just been released is enough to scare even the most loyal fan about the team's situation. Two new developments are shaking things up in Pittsburgh. One concerns a controversial decision by the front office that is already generating debate, and the other, a familiar face is back, but under unexpected circumstances. And believe it or not, the third piece of news, it could ignite a flame in the locker room. Let's start from the beginning. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the Steelers locker room, Mike Tomlin. Yep, the man's been running the ship for nearly 2 decades, and once again, fans are split. Some still back him like he's untouchable. Others, they're losing patience fast. And honestly, after the roller coaster this 2025 season has been, who can blame him? 1 week, this team looks like it's ready to punch its ticket to the AFC Championship. The next, it's like they forgot how to play football. It's been inconsistent, messy, and, worst of all, familiar. Steelers fans are fed up with playoff hopes turning into heartbreaks year after year. Now here's where it gets spicy. Mark Kaboly, you know, the guy who has been covering this team longer than some rookies have been alive, went on the Fan Morning Show and basically said, "Don to get your hopes up about Tomlin getting canned." Not because he's crushing it, not because of his record, nope. It's all about timing and a little thing called the 2026 NFL Draft. Kaboly's logic? Rooney doesn't want a coaching change, clouding over one of the biggest events in Pittsburgh sports history. The draft's coming to town in April. That means national media, spotlights, millions of dollars for the city. And Rooney wants things to look clean, stable, unified. Firing a 19-year coach right before the big show, that's bad optics, especially when the guy still has a contract through 2027. So yeah, even if the Steelers nosedive again like they did at the end of 2024, it looks like Tomlin's job is safe, at least until after the draft. Rooney's loyal, sometimes to a fault, and like it or not, keeping Tomlin around might be more about PR than performance. Now, is that fair? Depends on who you ask. On one hand, Tomlin's never had a losing season. That's not nothing. On the other, playoff wins have been ghost stories around here for almost a decade. People are tired. They want results, not just a coach who knows how to keep the ship afloat. But here as the kicker, the draft might actually be Tomlin's last big moment with this franchise. The Steelers are in serious need of a quarterback plan that isn't, he just hope this one works. Will Howard's an interesting name, but there's no way they head into 2026 without giving him real competition. They've got draft capital, they could move up, they could snag the guy. But if that happens, do you trust Tomlin to develop him? Or is this just one last ride before the franchise hits reset? This next stretch of games could be the tipping point. If Pittsburgh flames out, the noise around Tomlin won't just grow, it'll explode. But Rooney, he's playing the long game, and right now, that game has more to do with stage lights and sponsors than with what happens on 3rd and long. But while the front office is playing chess with Tomlin's future, the secondary is duct taped together. And now, a surprise name just showed up in the building. Yep, that Asante Samuel Jr., just when you thought the Steelers secondary couldn't get any thinner. Boom, here comes Asante Samuel Jr., parachuting into the practice squad like a late season plot twist. Let's be honest, Pittsburgh's defensive backfield is being held together with tape, prayers, and Joey Porter Jr.'s rookie legs. Darius Slay's still in concussion protocol after friendly fire from Kyle Duggar. Jalen Ramsey's bouncing between corner and safety like a human Rubik's Cube. Heading into a divisional game with 3 healthy corners was asking for disaster. So yeah, this move, it makes sense. But Samuel Jr.? That's a name we haven't heard in a minute. And for good reason. The guy's been on a wild ride. He had spinal fusion surgery back in April. Not a sprained ankle, not a pulled hammy. Spinal, fusion, surgery. That basically put his free agency on ice. He's 26 now, trying to revive a career that's been full of highs, lows, and shoulder issues. Literally. His last year with the Chargers ended early because of a stinger he says he had since birth. Teams were understandably spooked, but now, with the Steelers desperate and Samuel ready to prove he's still got some juice, it's a classic low-risk, high-reward gamble. What does he bring if he's healthy? Simple. Ball-hawking madness. The man has instincts like a heat-seeking missile. Remember that playoff game versus the Jags? He picked off Trevor Lawrence 3 times in one half. That wasn't luck. That was straight up skill, and it S exactly what this defense is missing right now. Someone who can change a game with one play. Now, let's pump the brakes a bit, because for all his talent, Samuel Jr. has never been a tackling machine. Calling his tackling inconsistent is putting it politely. Sometimes he flies in and makes a highlight hit. Other times, he whiffs so bad it makes you want to shut off the TV. Boom or bust doesn't even begin to cover it. Still, given the state of this defense, this move is a no-brainer. Mike Tomlin loves guys with a chip on their shoulder, and Samuel's walking around with a full Doritos bag. If he flashes even a glimpse of his old form in practice, expect a fast promotion. This isn't some blockbuster signing that changes the season, but it's one of those sneaky moves that could pay off big when nobody's watching. In a season full of questions, Samuel Jr. might just be an unexpected answer, or at the very least a wild card worth playing. And while the defense scrambles for reinforcements, the offense is dealing with a whole different mess. And if you read between the lines, Aaron Rodgers just threw some shade. Alright, let's talk about that Chargers game, because if you watched it, you know, it was ugly. Aaron Rodgers had his worst performance of the season, maybe one of the worst of his career. The guy only threw for 161 yards, and the offense looked completely lost. The only real spark came from Roman Wilson, and even that was a garbage time TD that barely made the box score look respectable. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Mark Kaboly, always tuned in, went on the Fan Morning Show and dropped a little nugget that caught everyone's attention. He thinks Rodgers was calling out his receivers, but doing it in that sneaky veteran way. No yelling, no throwing helmets, just subtle digs in the post-game presser. You know the type. "We couldn't get open on third downs," said in that classic Rodgers tone, calm, controlled, but the message, loud and clear. It wasn't me, it was them. Kaboly even compared it to the old Ben Roethlisberger-Todd Haley dynamic. Remember that? Ben used to throw shade in interviews without ever naming names. Passive-aggressive QB behavior 101. And now, Rodgers might be pulling from the same playbook, and let's be honest, he's not wrong. The receivers were straight up invisible in LA. Nobody could create separation. The Steelers didn't bring in a big name wideout before the trade deadline, and now it's showing. The tight end room is stacked, sure, but the wideouts, outside of Roman Wilson, this group needs serious help. There's talk of Marquez Valdes-Scantling getting called up soon. Rodgers knows him, trusts him, and at this point, that chemistry might be better than whatever he's getting from the current crew. And don't forget, the 2026 draft is stacked, and the Steelers have a boatload of picks. Don't be shocked if they grab multiple receivers next year and completely rebuild that room. Whether it's Rodgers throwing to them or not, this offense needs firepower. The defense is patchwork, the offense is disconnected, and the front office is thinking about PR instead of playoff wins. You tell me, is this still Tomlin's team, or is the locker room slipping? Drop your take below and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a Steelers update.